Antigen Plus offers complete flexibility in setting up result columns for your worksheet. An administrator may set up the default columns that will appear on every initial worksheet. Columns may be added and subtracted from worksheets for individual workups. Let's look at the initial or default setup. From the Options menu, we select Customize Result Columns. The first time we do this, we will see the default columns as they first appear in Antigen Plus. Here is what those default columns would look like in a worksheet. That arrangement is not likely to be very useful for your lab. Going back to the Options menu, we can look at decisions you may make for your own default worksheet and how to implement them. Later, we will look at how to customize a worksheet for use in an individual worksheet. We will assume for this demonstration that your usual procedure is to do 2 spin tests and a list tube test to do your antibody ID. The basic steps will apply to any arrangement you wish to start with. Assuming we will want to do our spin tests first, we will create 2 unevaluated columns and move them to the beginning of our worksheet. We begin by changing the type on columns A and B. Then we enter the column headers in the abbreviation row and add a description to appear in the worksheet evaluation section. When this is done, we slide those columns to the left. Next, we want the list column that will be evaluated according to the rules of indirect antiglobulin test, and as it is a tube test, will require a check cell to confirm the result. There is already an IAT column with a check cell requirement to the right of the spin columns, so we can use that one by changing the abbreviation and putting in our description. Now we can remove the remaining unwanted columns by right-clicking on them and selecting Remove Column. The last step is to click on the Save button. Now let's look at the result on our worksheet. This is what it will look like for every technician who begins a workup. There may be times in your lab when you want to add more columns, perhaps to follow the list with a peg, or after treating the cells to avoid exclusions on particular blood group system antigens, or in a complicated case by adding 1 or more adsorption columns to look only at the antigens you wish to consider. To add a column, right-click on the result column next to which you want the new column to appear and choose Add Result column. From there, you are guided through the same procedure for setting up a column. You may also edit any of the columns from this worksheet. Like the added columns, this will apply only to this panel. Here is a view of the columns and their descriptions once some hypothetical results have been entered. You may see these columns at work in our Working with Antigen Plus video library. As always, questions or comments may be directed to customer service@antigenplus.com.